Hello, students. Today I'll be giving you the summary of Birches as well as a few points based on the critical appreciation of the poem. So, first I'll begin with the summary of Birches. This lyric, Birches, begins in a tone of easy conversation. When the poet sees birches bending to right and left across the lines of darker, straighter trees, he imagines that some boy has been swinging them. But soon the truth dawns upon him, and he realizes that swinging cannot bend them down permanently. It is the ice storm alone which can bend birches down to stay. After rain and storm, the birches are covered with ice. The poet has observed the phenomenon minutely, and his description is vivid and picturesque. When the wind blows, the birches swing up and down, and the ice on them shines and turns many colored. As the rays of the sun are refracted in passing through ice, as the sun grows warmer, the ice is shaken down. It falls on earth covered with snow. It seems as if the central dome of heaven has cracked and the earth is covered with heaps of broken glass. It is with the burden of ice that the birches are bowed so low for so long that they never right themselves. This is the true reason, the hard fact for the permanent bending of birches. But from this truth, the poet again returns to his fancy that the birches have been thus bowed down permanently by some boys swinging them. He imagines that some boy who lives too far from the town to learn baseball devises a game for himself, a game which he can play alone, be it summer or winter. He takes to birch swinging as a pleasant sport. He climbs the birches over and over again, so much so that not a single tree remains unconquered and unbent. He has painstakingly acquired such skill that even when he reaches the top, he is able to maintain perfect balance. And then he comes to the ground with a swift movement. The poet is in a reminiscent mood. With a wistful longing, he remembers the time when he himself was a swinger of birches. He dreams that he would take to birch swinging once again, sometime in future, when he would be weary of his considerations. Then by birch swinging he would get away from earth for a while, and then come back to it and once again begin his life. The poet would never like to leave this earth permanently. After a momentary climb to heaven, he would like to return to it forever. Because he believes that earth is the best place for love. He would like to climb up towards heaven by mounting the birches, but then he would also like that they should set him down on earth after a moment. For him, birch swinging is good both going and coming back. So with this, I complete the summary of the poem. And now I'll give you some points which you can include in the critical appreciation of the poem. The poem Birches, which is a lyric, brings out several aspects of Frost's art. Fact and fancy are the two polarities of Frost's art, and both mingle in this fine lyric. His passion for fact is seen in his minuteness of observation and his love of the earth. His imagination or fancy is seen in his imagery and in his vivid and picturesque descriptions. Fact and fancy play together throughout the poem. The crystal ice becomes heaps of broken glass. The orchard trees are arched and are transformed into girls on hands and knees. Thus, wisdom and whimsy join to make a poem that delights the mind and endears itself to the heart. The popularity of Birches lies in its combination of picture and human appeal. This fine lyric is modern in several ways. It fully exhibits the symbolic metaphysical structure of modern verse. Such opposites as fact and fancy, observation and imagination, earth and heaven, reality and ideality combine to enrich the texture of the lyric. It is possible to read the lyric on several levels. The upward climb towards heaven of the bird swinger symbolizes human ideals and aspirations. The human desire for withdrawal from harsh reality, the dream world of fancy into which man would like to escape from the wearisome conditions of life on this earth. The poem concludes with a note on the question of earth, life, and death, and the balance demonstrated in the metaphor of swinging birches between heaven and earth. Man should arrange his life in such a manner that he should attain a balance between his work on earth and his spiritual aspirations. It is not desirable to leave the earthly duties completely, nor is it advisable to have no spiritual aspirations and be always pinned down to the earth. The lyric is also an embodiment of the ache of modernity, the feeling of anxiety, frustration, and helplessness which characterizes life in a modern city. The language used in this poem is, as usual, simple and clear. Many of the lines in it have epigrammatic force and terseness and are frequently quoted. The lyric also illustrates the poet's mastery over blank verse. The rhythm is varied in keeping with the requirements of thought and emotion. So all these points you can include in the critical appreciation of the poem Birches. So with this, I complete the poem Birches by Robert Frost. Thank you.